Yo, YouTube's Big Mike. Without further ado, retro. We're into the third part of my Spectrum tape collection. Cheers. Right, let's smash out the park with this one then, shall we? This is the third Spectrum tape collection. We're now on a double tape cassette boxes, and this is where you're going to find some of the finest games. Also, Bob Wakelin. A lot of these games are his artwork, and we'll start off with the first one. One of the greatest games on the Spectrum. I believe it's better on the Spectrum than it is in the arcade. I've never played the actual arcade machine, but I've played the game on MAME, and it is ridiculously hard. But on Spectrum, it's just about right. So, this is Renegade. Bob Wakelin artwork, absolutely fantastic. Yeah, that's actually on there. I thought some idiot wrote that on there. This is when it was Imagine. Look at the artwork on that. It's fantastic, isn't it? Renegade, absolutely brilliant. Superb game. These are the actual Spectrum graphics there. It's like a 2-screen or 3-screen. You fight with the screen scrolls. You go to different levels. And you basically beat up the gangs. And then their boss joins in once you've taken out so many of their gang members. And then, but brilliant. This one, if anyone knows about this, when I've always played this game, the only Spectrum that I can get, I've had it with music on. Never get my on with Plus 3. I haven't tried it on my new ones, but back in the day, I could never get music on this game. And the only person's computer we knew that could get music was Cooker's computer, which was a grey Spectrum Plus 2. Not the Plus 2A, which is black, which I had, and a Plus 3. They didn't get music, but the Plus 2, the grey one, did. Does anyone know a reason for that? I know they changed the chipset, didn't they? Amstrad probably made them a bit cheaper, unfortunately. So, yeah, if anyone knows the answer to that, please let me know, because with the music, it was fantastic. But, just didn't get it on the Plus 3 or the thing. I know there's a 128K version and a 48K version, I think, but... yeah, we loaded the 128K version. It wouldn't still didn't have any music. So, anyone knows the answer, just let me know in the comments. So, but that is Renegade. Absolutely fantastic game. And does it get any better than that? And the answer is yes. With the sequel, Target Renegade. Also Bob Wakelin artwork. Fantastic there. In fact, I think that spelt his name there in the actual true poster. I think he was telling me, and they were a bit annoyed about that. But that was his sort of in joke. I think that was there. But yeah, what a great game, Target Renegade. In the arcade, they made Renegade. The company made Renegade, and then they made Double Dragon. And Target Renegade was a home computers only. And I personally think this is better than Double Dragon. At least on the Spectrum. Possibly a Spectrum I put up against the arcade for playability. Because looking back on the arcade, it's a lot of slowdown and stuff. But here are the Spectrum graphics. Great game. This one now is a side scroller. You can go left and right, depending on which way the level went. Fantastic music. Also 2-player. And you could beat your friends up as well on it. It's fantastic. If they'd done your head in a little bit, you give them a quick dig. And sometimes you just end up fighting amongst yourselves rather than fighting the enemies. But yeah, what a fantastic game. Great music, great playability. Target Renegade, absolutely superb. Fantastic game. One of the best games, if not the best game on Spectrum, in my opinion. And unfortunately... what goes up must come down, I suppose. Renegade 3. I don't know what they were thinking with this. Bob Wakelin as well, artwork again. Still fantastic artwork. Wasn't his fault about the game. But I don't know where they went with this. All of a sudden we're time travelling and fighting with cavemen and dinosaurs. And God knows why. And the character looks stupid. He's got sunglasses. He's chunkier. He just looks stupid. They should. I don't know what went on. If anyone knows what went on, was it made by different people? they'd have no direction and they had to make this up quickly or something. But still a lovely, lovely case anyway. Absolutely fantastic. I'd like to get this on disc, but and the original Renegade on single release on disc. Haven't managed to find them. Next game, really proud to have in big box form. I had this back in the day. Was with my friend Rob, and we went to I believe it was a little shop called Four Boys in Yate, the town centre. And Rob said, "Oh, that's a really good game," and it was Head Over Heels. Back then, it was the Hit Squad release, and what we actually done was we were worried that they were going to sell these out. So what we did is we took a couple of copies of Head Over Heels on the Hit Squad collection, and we took them from the gaming section and hid them at the back of some teddies in another section of the shop, and then came back at a later date and purchased them to make sure that we got our copies of Head Over Heels. And I've always loved and played Head Over Heels ever since. It's great. Bob Wakelin again. Artwork, fantastic, really cool. Two characters, you got Head and then you got Heels. You have to team them together. Once one stands on top of the other, obviously Head can jump because he's got a bit of wings, and Head can float. Sorry, and Heels. I think he can jump better Head as well, but Heels just sort of runs around. They both got each got different skills, and when you put them together, they have better skills together. So, you know, some sections you do with one, some sections you do with the other, and some sections you do with both of them. But Head Over Heels, absolutely fantastic game. Will always have a very special place in my heart. Head Over Heels, great game. Played it only on Spectrum. I know it's out on the Amiga. I do actually own it on the Amiga, but to have this on big box is absolutely really pleased to have this. So, Head Over Heels, fantastic game. And the next one, again, Bob Wakelin, artwork, New Zealand Story. What can be said about this game? Possibly one of the best arcade conversions of all time. It plays great on the Spectrum, which in my opinion is the same as the arcade, but just in yellow and black, really. You know, obviously the sounds aren't quite as good, but it's still the same soundtrack, it's still the same sounds. Yeah, really, really good. Really great conversion. The Amiga version of this is fantastic as well. The Mega Drive version was built on I believe the prototype, so it has different levels. That's a Japanese only release. I actually have that. Don't have the Rainbow Islands Japanese release, which also I believe has different levels. But yeah, New Zealand Story, fantastic game. If you haven't played this game, New Zealand Story, stop this video and go and play it, because it is a great, absolutely superb, great game. Play it anywhere, any form that you can. Spectrum version is great, Amiga version is great, Mega Drive version is great. They're all great. I haven't played a bad one yet. So that's New Zealand Story, absolutely superb. And the next one, I remember playing this on my +3 back in the day with my old Spectrum light gun. Came with the pack that I had, which was Operation Wolf. In fact, did this come with the pack? I'm not sure. I think it did. I remember playing it on my light gun anyway. Look at this, $9.99 at Bootslet. Retro Dave Nintendo. He's fortunate to have his own cabinet of this, but this was as close as I came to owning a Operation Wolf cabinet. Was my Spectrum and my light gun. But I think this is a really good version of the game. I think it plays just like the arcade, but like I say, it's in black and white, the characters, or blue and white, or grey and white, you know. But I thought it was a really good conversion, and so did Crash. By the look of it, it's a Crash Smash. So, what a fantastic game! And yeah, it worked very well with the light gun. So, yeah, and me, my mum and dad used to enjoy a bit of Bully as well. Non-Bully, you used to get the questions of Bullseye. And if you held delete, the time wouldn't go down. It's a little cheat for you if you ever played Bullseye and Spectrum light gun. Next one, Bob Wakelin again, I believe. Artwork, Rastan. Also another great conversion. I used to remember going down the swimming baths, Yates swimming baths, and they used to have this in the little section where you sort of, as you come out after your swimming session, and we used to sneak under the bar and put 10. I think this was 10p or 20p a play back then, more likely 10p. And what a great game, and what a great conversion this is. Plays just like the arcade again. I mean, look at the graphics. 128K version, same music as the arcade. Not quite as good, but pretty much not as bad as it could be. Very, very good. Absolutely fantastic game. Plays just like the arcade. Looks just like the arcade. All right, without the colours. The music's there. And also, it's a multi-level loader on this, wasn't it? So, but what we found out you could do is if you just loaded the first and then fast forwarded to the next part of whatever level you wanted. You just missed that original piece. You load that piece in, and then you missed that piece on the next levels, and then you could load whatever level you wanted in. So there's a little cheat for you for Rastan on the Spectrum. If any of you are playing it from tape nowadays, which I doubt anyone is, everyone's more modern, aren't they, and using the SD cards and that. But I think there's a little thing to be said, with the old school way of doing things. If the games work, then use them the way they're supposed to be used. Again, Bob Wakelin artwork. Another fantastic game. Now, if that isn't Arnie and Sly, I don't know what is. But this is Gryzor. Absolutely fantastic. Known in the UK as Probotector. Yeah, fantastic. So, Gryzor was called Probotector before. And what a fantastic... I really enjoyed this as well. This is really hard. It's a hard game. But it's a great game. The graphics were, as good as they could be. But it really was about the playability of the Spectrum, wasn't it? Graphics weren't great. They served a purpose. They'd done the job, and you had the side-scrolling with shooting, and then you had these like 3D sort of levels as well. Absolutely superb. That is definitely inspired by Arnie and Predator, isn't it? He must have watched Predator before he drew these ones. But yeah, Gryzor's great game. Superb, absolutely superb. I'd love to get this on disc, but I've if you're collecting for Amstrad CPC 464 discs, there are plenty. But on the older Spectrum Plus 3, I don't suppose many people had the money to buy the discs back in the day. I had about 2 or 3 back in the day, but they're harder to come by and they're a lot more expensive. So a quick tip: if you want to collect 3-inch disc games, go for the Amstrad. There's plenty of them. The Spectrum is just ridiculous money and too sparse. I actually have 2 copies of this. I don't know why. Possibly bought one initially when I was collecting, not the correct way to collect, where I was just buying every game I wanted individually, and then I learned you're better off buying the bundles. So, but yeah, I've got 2 of these. So once I've confirmed they both work, then I will sell one at some point. So next game, I believe, again, I'm not 100% sure on this one, but I'm pretty sure it's Bob Wakelin artwork again, and it is Combat School. This game's fantastic. Not so great for your keyboards or joysticks, because it's a button basher or joystick waggler. Sure, many joysticks have been broken or keyboards caved in through playing this game. It's a 2-player. You have all of these events, obstacles, shooting range. Really, really cool. And you can have a 2-player, you can compete against yourself or compete against your mates, compete against the computer. So you got arm wrestling, pull-ups, all sorts. Of the very last thing, you fight the instructor. What a game. Fantastic game this is. Absolutely superb. So, and I do actually have the pleasure of owning this on disc. So, yeah, I've got this one. But that will be there's going to be a leftovers video after this one. And then we'll be doing me Spectrum Plus 3 disc collection at some point, which is a collection I'm probably even more proud of than me Spectrum tape collection. So there's one to look forward to. I'm not sure if I'm going to do it straight away, but it's in the post. Next one, I think it's Bob Wakelin again. I'm not 100% sure, but it's Dragon Ninja, or Bad Dudes, wasn't it, in the arcade? Bad Dudes Dragon Ninja, isn't it? Yeah, it says there, doesn't it? Bad Dudes versus Dragon Ninja. So you are the bad dudes. And I was talking about this the other day. This actually isn't too bad a conversion, actually. You're the bad dudes. I'm not sure if it's 1 or 2 player. I think there's definitely 1 player. But I'm not sure if you can have 2 players on this. But you can... basically, Ronald Reagan's been kidnapped. And you've got to get him back. So I remember on the arcade with me and my friend Joe. And we completed this. And at the end, you rescue Reagan. And you go and have a burger with him at the end. So that was Dragon Ninja. That was the days we were on Double Dragon and Dragon Ninja, and we nailed them both on that holiday. We completed them both. So those were good times. Good times. So the next one is Run the Gauntlet. I also have 2 of these again. I believe I also have this on disc as well. So Run the Gauntlet used to be a Saturday morning TV show, was it? Or maybe an afternoon programme, but it's great programme. Competition on jet skis, quads, sort of all sorts of stuff going on. It's quite an entertaining show, really. And it's not a bad game. It's pretty cool. So you've got all sorts of sections, the quads there, speedboat racing, all sorts of stuff going on. It's a pretty cool game, really. So quite cool, sort of multi-game in one. So that is Run the Gauntlet. Right, now on to another game, which is, this game was great in the arcade. It's a good conversion as well, which is Rampage. Absolutely brilliant. They're making a film of this at the moment. And when I heard a film was coming out based on Rampage, a 1984 arcade game, I thought they had to be mad. But to be honest, the clips of the film look pretty cool. So that's that. And I don't think there's a Spectrum graphics there. Actual C64. So I'd say actually there, the C64 probably looks a bit better than the Specky. It's got colours. So the Specky was like that, but in black and white. But it certainly played just like the arcade. The arcade was pretty basic. It was an old arcade anyway. But yeah, it converted very well to the 8-bit machines. So that is lovely artwork. Not a Bob Wheatland, I don't think. It could be, but I don't think it is, because it's not Ocean, or it's not Ocean, and it's not Imagine. So, but it's Activision. But it's nevertheless some really cool artwork. Like I say, back on the 8-bit, we were just spoilt with great artwork, and a lot of times you would purchase the games based on the artwork, and a lot of times the games let us down so badly. But the artwork was fantastic. Oh, look at that! You're going to be whatever was on the cover, and it's going to be great. And you load it up, and it was rubbish, But well, now you just don't get that, do you? We don't, If perhaps if they had that on PS4 and Xbox, I'd be a bit more inspired by some of those games. But right, the next one is Rygar, one of Bithead 1000's favourite NES games. I don't know how that fares against the Spectrum version. This was an arcade originally, if I'm correct. But it was a pretty cool game. It's quite hard though. There's the Spectrum graphics there, look. So you're this guy, and he's got this shield type weapon on not a string. I'd imagine it's on some sort of chain. But yeah, it was quite hard. I remember Bithead 1000 saying he had to level up, and so he put the controller crouching and on fire, and went to school. And his mum would see his system left on, and she'd have a go at him, and she'd turn it off. So he taped up the light on his system, and then he come home one day and the character had fully leveled up. His mum hadn't switched it off, and then he managed to complete it. I didn't know anything really about leveling up back in these days, so I probably didn't get very far on this, but I do remember it's quite a good version, quite cool. So that's Rygar. Right, next up is Skate Crazy, which is another cool picture. I don't know who's responsible for the artwork for this one, but it's pretty cool. It's Gremlin, and this was a pretty cool game. You sort of got an obstacle course, and you skate around the obstacle course, rightly pulling moves and scoring points. So that looks like a side-scrolling level there. I don't remember that. I remember that level. I thought it was like a 3D isometric sort of view. I don't know if that might be on a different machine. I don't know, they all look like could be Spectrum graphics, but Black and white definitely is. I don't know. It might be different on a different machine, but I remember it black and white on Spectrum. But yeah, it was a cool game. I was thinking back in the day I had this on a tape pack, so I didn't have the original release like this. Had it on a compilation tape, but nevertheless, it was a pretty cool game. So that's Skate Crazy. I don't know too much about that one, so we'll move on. I showed it. Right, these are great games by Houston, which is Cybernoid, which is a great game. I believe this actually plays better on Spectrum than it does actually on the Amiga. Perhaps because I've got nostalgia for the Spectrum version. So you control that the spaceship there, if you see, it's in the centre of the screen. There's all sorts of things going on. You know, you got to shoot the rocks to stop them from hitting your ship, and you fly and gravity pulls you down, so you've got to get the flying right and everything. So it's pretty cool game really, Cybernoid. That is Cybernoid. Closely followed by Cybernoid 2. Yeah, so much more of the same. But they were both great games. I spent a lot of time on these back in the day. They were really cool games. Just both sort of cool sort of side-scrolling not side-scrolling shooters, but screen-by-screen shooters. You know, you had to sort of make your way out of the maze, more sort of thing. Right, and a game that kicked it all off for one of the biggest franchises, probably in gaming history. Certainly know the sequel was, I would imagine it's probably got the most hours clocked up by players, possibly of all time, I would have thought, definitely for 2-player. The original Street Fighter, where Ryu takes on Sagat for the first time. And yeah, this is really cool. We really enjoyed this. And I used to, back in the day, it's the first ever sort of, well, not the first ever, but one of the first one-on-one sort of fighters. The first one-on-one fighter I can remember was Yi Ya Kung Fu, which I used to love as well. You had the flying fat man and the girl with the nunchucks and all that. But yeah, the Yi Ya Kung Fu, great. I've got that somewhere. I don't know where that is. It's a clamshell, but it's not been in the collection. But I do have that. But yeah, this is Street Fighter. So you were Ryu, and you had to fight your way through several different enemy characters, and eventually at the end you would get to Sagat. And I could never, ever, ever beat Sagat. Still to this day, on this version, I have not beaten Sagat. And I used to get to Sagat. I've saying Sagat a lot. I got to him, and basically, he would always beat me. And I used to play this around Cooker's house, and no matter what we'd done and played it differently, I could never beat it. I could never beat it. We tried all sorts of silly things. You know, I thought I couldn't do it with him looking at me, and you know, because he made me feel like, you used to get that sometimes in the arcade when loads of people were watching you. It was all right until you knew they were watching you, wasn't it? Like, you know, you turn around, there's about 30 people watching you. Like, oh my god, I better do good. But like, when you didn't know they were behind you, you used to play pretty well. But yeah, those were the days, the good old days of the arcade. I miss those days. But this is Street Fighter, definitely. And the original Street Fighter in the arcade had massive buttons, didn't it, which you punched, or you hit, slammed in your fist, or punched. And you know, depending on how hard you hit the thing, was which level of punch you done. So yeah, that's Street Fighter. So it holds memories for me. I don't remember it too much in the arcade. I have seen it and I have played it in the arcade, but more memories on the Spectrum. So that's another great game. It's the original Street Fighter. Next is a great game in the arcade, and I believe this is a great conversion as well. Rolling Thunder. I actually seen I think it was on Bazza's channel, seen a review for this, and it got like 38 or something. That's an absolute travesty, that, because I believe this is a really good conversion. I love this in the arcade. Basically, you're like a James Bond character. You are scrolling from left to right, or up and you basically got 2 levels, very like Shinobi. You know, you've got enemies on the top level and you've got enemies on the ground level. You jump between the 2 levels to kill the enemies, and you're progressing through the level. Basically, you can go indoors, you get ammunition and things, and it's just a really great game, and it really translates well onto the Spectrum, and it really plays well. I would say you definitely get the feel of the arcade from this game. And I couldn't believe that I seen that review on his channel from a magazine saying it was like 38 or 48 or something. I would have thought this is scored in the 80s or 90s, because I believe it's a really good conversion. And I used to really like the arcade. I used to go... my mum used to take me on bus trips when I was little, because she didn't drive. So we used to get on the bus and go to all sorts of different places. And we played the arcade machines, and I might be able to get a game, but if we were, she had the money, I'd buy a game at the end of the day, or she'd take me out and I'd play the arcades. And Rolling Thunder was one of the games that I used to play many a times, and it was a great game, and it translates very well onto the Spectrum, in my opinion. And I would definitely say it's like an 80 or 90% game on the Spectrum. Also very good on the Mega Drive, actually. They don't do the first one, but they've got Rolling Thunder 2 and Rolling Thunder 3. I think that 3 is possibly a Japanese and American only release, but I own both of them. Here's another great arcade, and certainly one that made an impression on me as a little boy. Fantastic. Probably the first ever speech I'd ever heard in the arcade, not on the Spectrum. I'd have been blown away if my Spectrum talked to me like this. But they used to have the sit down arcade in Weston on the pier. Use the Force, Luke, and all that. And okay, kid, let's blow this thing and go home. Absolutely fantastic. The speech wasn't on the Spectrum. It's on the Amiga version, actually, but it's not on the Spectrum. But it translates very well. It translates very, very well. But then again, it's only sort of vector graphics, isn't it? So this actually, I think, plays very similar to the arcade. It translates fantastically. The Amiga version pretty much is like the arcade. Obviously, you're not got the sit down, but yeah, it plays. They both play very well. But like I say, that's the Spectrum level. The tunnel there, the trench. So it's a fantastic game. Great arcade, great on home ports as well. So Star Wars, fantastic. Not so fantastic, but you got to get, I suppose, which was Return of the Jedi. Arcade again. I think this is quite true to the arcade. I didn't really have much to do with it. You're racing on those stupid things, aren't you? It's Return of the Jedi. I think it plays like the arcade, but the arcade wasn't all that good. Not a patch on Star Wars, was it? So that's that one. I have it anyway. Little bit deflated by that one because it wasn't very good. I don't think. Next one is So Nice to Bought It Twice Again for some reason. Road Blasters, great arcade game by Atari. If I'm right, I think it's Atari. I'm pretty sure it's Atari, but translates well onto the Spectrum. All right, the colours aren't there, but yeah, it's a very good game. You've got to sort of race to the points. People are trying to take you out. You've got guns, you can shoot them. You've got fuel you have to collect, and eventually you get to the checkered checkpoint at the end. So very good game, very good game. Fantastic on the Atari Lynx as well. Good on the Amiga as well. So just Road Blasters there. Cool cover art as well. And a game I think is possibly a rip-off of Road Blasters, which is, it's basically same sort of idea I'd have thought, which is Road Wars by Melbourne House. That's a bit of a... He looks like he's just finished in Speedball 2, doesn't he? And now he's picked his gun up from the desk. And he's off to shoot some people. But yeah, I think this is a similar sort of thing. You're just racing and shooting. Not 100% sure on this one. I don't think I've played it, really. It probably came as part of a bundle deal. And I've yet to play it. So, sorry. I'll have to play it and update you. But the next one you've seen in the last video, which is Outrun. Absolutely fantastic. In the arcade, this is brilliant. fantastic. The music's fantastic. Actually, in this version here, you get a Spectrum game. Once arcade music was fantastic as well. Pretty close to the arcade music. You know, you could definitely recognise the tunes. But also you get a tape in here of the arcade music as well, which is really cool. And a lot of people slate this game, but I actually think it played quite similar to the arcade. Well, it was good enough for me. I was like, wow, I'm playing Outrun. At home, you know. But really, looking back, it wasn't. To be honest, I was quite pleasantly surprised actually when I loaded it on the Plus 3, because I do have this on disc, not for the it was a compilation disc, I think. But I was quite pleasantly surprised, especially by the music. But I actually thought it played all right as well. But it gets a lot of stick. This game, but I enjoyed it. Perhaps I, rose tinted glasses and all that. I don't know, but. Next one, another fantastic game in the arcade, which is APB, All Points Bulletin, where you start off as overhead. It's a fantastic arcade, quite hard to play in the arcade because it's sort of like I can't remember, or it might be hard to play on the computer. So you got to rotate the car, and then fire might be go, or you pull back to reverse. I can't remember. It's quite hard to play, but once you mastered it, you could have quite some good games on this. You start off with arresting litter pickers, and I think eventually you move on to like drug dealers and bank robbers and stuff. But it's pretty cool. It's all good fun, and it's a pretty cool game. I know they've done a sort of reboot of this, didn't they, on the PS4 and that, and I think that looked crap. But APB back in the day, a good game, and it translates well. You have to do your lesson and all that in the beginning, don't you? You got to go around the cones and that, and I think you got to put your like shouting thing on the cones and shout at the cones. Pretty cool. Another arcade game which was fantastic, Enduro Racer. I remember this. You used to sit on like a BMX, is that right? A sort of BMX like bike, or I remember some of the stand-up versions having BMX handles. I think you used to pull them back to do jumps in the arcades, which is pretty cool. I don't know how well this translates. It looks like it translates okay, but the arcade was where it was at with this one, really. But still, nevertheless, it's nice to have sort of a home version in the home. I like to see the arcade with the bike and all that. It's a different league, isn't it, really? So, next one was a great arcade, pretty basic, okay conversion, bit annoying sounds. Green Beret, great artwork again there. I'm not sure if Bob Waitland did this one, actually. It is Imagine, so you'd imagine he might have done it. But I'm not sure. It doesn't look like his standard artwork there. But I'm more than likely wrong. But, because he's done pretty much most of them. But that's still cool artwork. Anyway, but Konami Arcade. Running from left to right, you've got a little knife and you're taking on people with guns. Like Bitter 1000 said, you try that in real life. See how well you get on. But Green Beret, an older arcade, 84 maybe slightly after that, maybe 85 I think. But it's an older arcade. It's playable, but it was damn hard. So I never got too far with it. But Green Beret, still worth a play, is old Green Beret. Now, as an arcade that was very, very popular, and translates quite well onto the Spectrum as well, is Gauntlet. This is a great conversion, very, very good. Even better on the Amiga with the speech and that. It plays very similar to the arcade, but the levels are the levels are there. The playability is there. Okay, I think you can have 2 players. You can't have 4 players like you can in the arcade. But it translates pretty well, Gauntlet, and it's cool. You could be a warrior, a wizard, the woman, the sort of fighting woman, and the elf type geezer, and it's all pretty cool. Yeah, used to love a bit of a Gauntlet, especially good fun for a bit of 2-player, definitely. So translates very well onto the Spectrum, and then from there you had better artwork on this one as well, I think, which is Gauntlet 2, which is much more of the same. Yeah, the artwork on that is very much like Dungeons and Dragons, in it, the cartoons. Anyone remember that? What a fantastic cartoon where the kids get on a roller coaster and they go into another world, another dimension. Very, very reminiscent of that artwork. I can't remember what the big dragon's name is, and the guy on the big horse and that. But it's very, very cool cartoon. Wicked cartoon. Anyway, that's Gauntlet 2. Next up is looks like I could do with a clean case is a bit dirty, but is Bionic Commando, which is a bit sort of was an arcade game, a little bit before my time, really, in the arcades. Maybe 84, maybe, yeah, about 84, I'd have thought. What does it say there, actually? It's 87, okay, it might have been a bit later. But yeah, translated okay onto the Spectrum. You're a guy and you can use your bionic arm to swing, and you have to shoot characters and things. And pretty cool game. You know, it's way platformers sort of started and progressed on from there, really. So it's a pretty cool game. Very good in the arcade. Pretty cool on the Spectrum. And that is Bionic Commando. Next game was okay on the Spectrum, actually. It wasn't great, but it was better than... I think the Amiga version wasn't very good. The Mega Drive version is where it's at with this, and the arcade. Mega Drive and arcade, really. It's just Strider. Yeah. This plays okay on Spectrum. It's not fantastic. It's okay conversion. It's playable. The Amiga version wasn't very good, but the Mega Drive's where it's at if you want to play Strider. But nevertheless, I've got it on Spectrum as well. I have it on the Mega Drive. I don't have it on the Amiga, but I've played it, and it's not great. But that is Strider. Next game, which is great, and is actually quite a cool conversion as well. Quite easy game to convert, really, which is Wonder Boy. The original Wonder Boy, and this is on the Spectrum. This is very good on the Master System. Also known as Adventure Island. Yeah, so Wonder Boy was Sega's license, but I believe the company who made it, I don't think it was Activision, it was someone else's, but Activision probably licensed it on Spectrum. The company who made it released it as Adventure Island, because Wonder Boy was copyrighted, but Adventure Island wasn't, so that's the reason I believe, anyway. I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, please let me know in the comments. But Wonder Boy is cool. Very, very cool. Okay on the Spectrum, actually. Pretty cool conversion. Sort of running from, sort of going to the right, and you get skateboards, and you got to jump, and you get tomahawks, and it's constantly moving, and you've got to jump on clouds and things. Quite a fast-paced game, but it's all about timing, really, and knowing the levels. Is it Retro Red Steve? I think you keep changing your name, don't you? But he's very good at this. I watched him do a sort of bit of a run through it, and I was like, but well, that guy's putting some hours of this game. Like, he knew this game inside and out. But that's Wonder Boy. Very cool classic game. And here he is. He's the man who can. It's good old Dan. Dan Dare. A big box release. Based on the comic, if I'm right. This is pretty cool. You sort of Dan Dare, and you had the laser gun, and there's all these alien type guys trying to take you out, or they put you in prison, and you break back out, and you had to do different missions and things. So it's all pretty cool. Really enjoyed this game. Put a few hours into this. I've got all three of these, I believe. Dan Dare 2, and Dan Dare 3. That's that one. Now this game is the next one. Is really cool, which is Technocop. I love a bit of Technocop. This is also available on a Mega Drive. Don't know what it's like on a Mega Drive. I think it's really, really violent on a Mega Drive, I think. But yeah, it's pretty violent on Spectrum, actually, I think. I think you shoot guys and they burst into body parts. You drive to the scene. You've got your sort of arm there telling you everything. I just remember having some good times on this game. I'll have to go back and have a look at it, because it was pretty cool. So, yeah, Technocop was a very good game. Very good game. So, I'll have to go back and look at that, because it was pretty cool. And now we have... I better go in the right order with these ones, because they're sequels. Right, the first one we've got two of these, which is Jack the Nipper. Who remembers Jack the Nipper? Jack the Nipper was cool. You were Jack the Nipper. He was a little baby geezer, and he was really naughty. and you had to sort of wander around, causing mischief, and yeah, it was really cool. So you had to do certain things like smashing plates and things and knocking stuff off shelves and that, if I remember rightly, and it was cool. And I always enjoyed a bit of Jack the Nipper. It was good. But I believe it was bettered by Jack the Nipper 2. Jack the Nipper in Congo Capers, or Coconut Capers. And this was where it was at. This sort of took the idea and ran with it. And look, they've improved a lot on there. And he's got his little sunglasses on and that, and you had to do stuff. Oh, it's brilliant. This is really good, this. And yeah, it's fantastic. They improved it a lot on this, in colours and clearer graphics and better gameplay. So Jack Nipper 2, if you ever want a good little laugh, a little platformer, there's just nice and simple but cool. Jack the Nipper 2, Coconut Capers, very good game, pretty cool. Don't know too much about this next one. West Bank. I got a feeling this might have been an arcade shooter. I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, I think you had to shoot the guy who, whichever door was the guy with the, you had the guns out and that, but I'm not 100% sure of that. Not played it, but I own it, so that's that one. And we haven't seen him for a while, so we may as well see him twice. It is Alvida Monty. So again, I have two versions of this. Like I say, once I work out which, as long as both work, I'll sell one on. Alvida Monty was really cool. I always like the Monty Mole games. You know, you control him, he jumped about, and you can jump on ropes and things, and just a really cool game, fun gameplay. Always liked them, and most of them sort of slightly different on each sort of game, really. So that was Alvida Monty, and he's back again in Impossible. Impossible, absolutely fantastic. So they upped the ante on this one. I think I remember playing this one on Amiga, and if that might be Amiga screenshots there. But yeah, this was even better again. As they sort of went on, they sort of progressed and got better and better, I believe. So that was Impossible. That's some cool artwork there as well, isn't it? It's really cool. So that's Impossible. That was great. This next one I know nothing about, which is Alternative World Games. I should just imagine it's some sort of sports sim, but don't know much about it. If anyone knows anything about it, if it was good, let us know in the comments. Right, we're getting our way through them. Next one is California Games. Okay on the Spectrum, not fantastic. I would say if you want to play California Games, play it on the Mega Drive, not the Mega Drive, play it on the Master System, or even better, play it on the Atari Lynx. Not very good on the sort of computers, really. It was okay. Couple of Firelord and Uridium. A lot of people like Uridium. Don't know too much about Firelord. There's no graphics on the back there. Uridium's like I believe, a side-scrolling left to right shooter, or I think you scroll both ways. You got to sort of shoot the enemies. Don't know too much about it, so, but I know a few people do like it. And Uridium 2 came out on the Amiga. I know that. Arcade Hall of Fame, apparently, which is Raid, Blue Max, Rocco, Flak, and Hunchback. The only ones, well, I remember Raid, or I've heard of Raid, and I know Hunchback 2, sorry. I've heard of Hunchback 2. I actually have Hunchback 2 on the full price release, so that's those ones. And now we're on to these here, which is nearly, let's have a look. Not get a sneak peek. We're in shot. Right, and these are the last ones, which are Dragon's Lair for the Spectrum. Remember Dragon's Lair the arcade? I don't know how well it translates on the Spectrum. I would imagine not too well, because it was Laserdisc, and this is a couple of tapes. So, yeah, don't know too much about that, but I own it. I'd imagine I got it in some sort of bundle pack. And we've got Way of the Tiger. This was a game I was showing you the other day with the graphics that were suspicious. Oh no, this is a different one. As I say, this is probably the sequel. So, Way of the Exploding Fist, wasn't it? So, some cool artwork there, which is Way of the Tiger. It's really cool artwork. Ninja inside of a tiger's mouth. And in the box here is the graphics. Don't know too much about it, but I know a lot of people used to enjoy this game. So, it's 2 tapes, so it should be. It's got to be pretty big. so that's Way of the Tiger. Unfortunately, I don't know too much about it. If anyone knows much about it, I've had some great times with this game. Please let me know in the comments. It'd be much appreciated. Next we have, who remembers this? Thing on a Spring. Thing bounces back. I remember liking this game. It was quite mad. It was just, they come out, the character was just like a head on a spring, wasn't it? And you sort of just navigated through the levels. Just a crazy, mad idea. And they came up with a game with it. I remember it was okay. I used to enjoy this one a little bit. But that's Thing on a Spring. This one is New Old Stock, which is New York Warriors. Again, don't know too much about this one. I just bought it because it was cheap and it was new. So, I can't really remember what you had to do. But it looks okay. It looks cool. So that's supposedly Spectrum, is it? Doesn't look very Spectrum-like, does it? Because it looks more like a Commodore shop, but... Anyway, perhaps I'll do an update on these and these last ones. I haven't really played them. I've sort of got these mainly as part of a bundle, or I've, you know, got them somehow. The next one is Captain America in the Doom Tube of Dr. Megaloman. Never heard of him. Perhaps some of you have. I've never played this. I don't know anything about it. But it's a cool cover. I'll give it that. That's pretty cool, isn't it? It's Captain America, and there's another Spectrum game. They did do a few of the Spectrum games for the Superiors, but I didn't really play them. So this is the alternative Ghostbusters, isn't it? This is the real Ghostbusters, which is based on a cartoon. The second cartoon. I don't know if it's an unlicensed one or if they licensed. It was just different from the original, wasn't it? So I don't know anything about the game now. Looks quite cool graphics, but they're Atari ST. By Data East, apparently. So perhaps this was an arcade. I don't know too much about it, but I remember that was an alternative cartoon. That wasn't the proper cartoon that they had. There was 2 cartoons, wasn't there? Unless the real Ghostbusters was the cartoon, and then the Ghostbusters, the film, was the Ghostbusters. But I thought they had 2 cartoons as well. Great film, this one, but I don't know too much about this game, which is The Running Man, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Fantastic film, some great quotes. Yeah, you know, great Arnie quotes, and see you in the rerun, son. I'll be back, only in the rerun, son. But yeah, I don't know too much about the game. I can't imagine it was very good. It might have been fantastic, but I certainly haven't heard much about it. But perhaps I'll do a playthrough one day. And the last one is Espionage. This was also from the. Remember I said about the Shed Find. My friend, this was part of the Shed Find. It was in there. I don't know too much about this, but we managed to salvage it. I don't know if it works. So, but that's another one. I got some leftover tapes, the single tapes that I haven't shown you. Basically, it was just a case of the ones I haven't played, don't know too much about, so I might do a leftovers tape. It's only about 10 or 20 single tapes. There's a few tapes that I haven't found, and, you know, it would be nice to sort of find them and show them. I might do that at another point, so just put something on the screen for you to see, some some cool stuff. So yeah, sorry about the end of this video. It's gone a bit flat, hasn't it? But I sort of got a bit excited and showed you all the good stuff first. So yeah, unfortunately, but I've really enjoyed doing this Spectrum collection. Hopefully you've enjoyed it as well. I've got, like I say, the creme de la creme to come, which is my Spectrum Plus 3 disc collection, which I've got some of the games you're probably thinking, whoa, why hasn't he got this? Why hasn't he got that? It's probably because it's in the Plus 3 disc collection. So there is many Spectrum games that I don't have that I'd like to own. I've sort of neglected the Spectrum collecting, apart from the Plus 3 disc, really. When I started recollecting again, I'm not sure how long I've been recollecting. It's probably 4 or 5 years I've been collecting again, I think. Maybe 6. Might be shorter, but I'm pretty sure it's about 5 or 6 years I've been recollecting. And initially I went hell for leather on the Spectrum collecting. It's like, oh, I used to have that, I used to have that. And I was just buying up everything and having anything. And, you know, and then I sort of started learning about the bundles. And, you know, unfortunately I probably bought initially about 50% of my collection buying games individually and at high prices, and then I learned, you know, you buy the bundles, take what you want, and sell the rest. So, hopefully you've enjoyed this. Like I say, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks very much, YouTube. Take it easy. Thanks. Cheers.